You know, the hardest part of telling a story is where to begin. I practice and I practice. I start with this, I start with that. I give you a weather report. It goes on and on. And then when I click that button and I start talking, it's never what I was practicing. Just whatever comes out, comes out. Yes, today's Thursday. The weather report again is rain, rain, rain. That's okay. Only thing wrong with that is Jan works on Thursdays and Fridays at the antique mall. My nose is itching. And that's about the only time I get to see her. She's pretty busy. She lives way out in the country and it's too far. I'm not driving out there, I'll tell you that. Winding, narrow roads, not for me. So, anyway, if I'm going to see her, I stop by the antiques mall on Thursday or Friday. But when it's raining like it has rained yesterday and today, no, no, no. She can miss me 1 week. Yeah. I'm staying home. But there's nothing wrong with that because today I have been so busy reading comments on my YouTube channel. Wow. You people are magical. You sure know how to make a girl feel good. And I want to tell you, I don't fake anything in my story. I tell it like I remember it. I tell it like it is. There's no fiction in anything I tell you. So, whatever you visualize in your head as you're reading, it's what is real. It's real. You have paid so many nice compliments about the first half of the story. I say it the first half because there's so much more to tell. And I left out a lot along the way, little things that happened, because I wanted to get the whole story told. It's my mother's birthday. Goodness gracious, 127 years old. And to think, she lived through 101 years of that. Man, the stories she could tell you, so much better than what I tell. So much more detail. But anyway, you keep the comments coming. I appreciate your take on the story or the things that I tell. And I've got record of it all. And sometimes I go back and read some of the comments over again and again, thinking, I thought I read this before. But when you get my age, it just goes in one ear and out the other. That's what they say. And I'm beginning to believe it. So if I read a story twice, that's because I didn't get the message the first time. You don't do that, I'm sure. I'm wearing red. Red, it's a bright color. Red makes anybody look good. See Mama's picture over here? Don't you just love it? Yeah, you have to. You have to agree with me on that. That little painting, you can't imagine how I felt the day I walked in the artist's office. And was a little hesitant about calling me to come and get the painting because he was afraid he did not capture my mother and her expression, and he didn't know what to do. I walked in, I looked at the picture, and I said, "That's her. That's my mother." I left there. He was pleased that I was happy with the picture. I was delighted with the painting, just delighted. I think the dress she wore was so unique, the pretty beaded bag, and he didn't paint her feet. Her feet showed in the painting or in the photograph, but he explained that sometimes you want to leave out the feet because they don't always add to the picture, the entire picture, and that's what he did. He left off the feet. But I think her dress is gorgeous. As I said, it's got 2 skirts to it. And right about where, whoa, that wasn't a good idea. Right about where the handbag is, right across there, is where the dress comes, and the skirt, the long skirt, is under that. Wouldn't take anything for this painting. Now I said to myself today, we put up with all this gloom for days now. I can't talk about that anymore. We need something funny. Yeah, let me go back and see what's in one of my books. Maybe there's a story there I can tell. There's a big difference between reading a story and having someone tell you the story. I don't know which is better, because you can get more detail when they're talking than you would get in their writing, because they want to make sure the sentence structure is correct when they're writing and that you understand what they mean. Well, I got to thinking, what can I tell them? Oh, I know. I remembered a story. This is from several years ago. It was not a funny situation. Not a bit funny. This is how it went. You know, I have all of these collectibles and odds and ends, and they're in the way, and I need them boxed up and stored away. I'd run out of boxes, and this time I wanted some of those big plastic tubs. That's what they call them, tubs, but they're great big rectangle boxes with lids. So I went out and I looked around and finally found what I wanted. I only bought one because they were expensive. And this was a large one. It was a clear plastic bottom with a red lid, just about the color of my blouse. That's the one I brought home. Now, I'm not one who immediately puts things where they belong. I usually, if there's a table handy, I set it on the table. I'll take care of it later. I pushed the box over to the hallway right next to my bedroom door. Left it sitting in the floor. I'll put it in the bedroom later and fill it up with whatever I'm going to put in it. Now I'm sitting on the couch. I'm reading a book. I can't tell you what book it was. But I started to the bathroom's right across from the bedroom, and I had the book in my hand like this. I'm looking down at the book, but I'm not seeing what's below the book. You know, all I'm seeing is the book. Uh-oh. My foot hit that big plastic box. I lost my balance. I went down. But on the way down, my shoulder hit the door facing of the bedroom. And man, did it hurt. I slid down that wall. Where did I end up? I ended up sitting in that big plastic box. I went through the red lid. It cracked in about 3 places. Now I'm going to tell you this, in case you don't already know it. Plastic, broken plastic, can be as sharp as glass. It had points like this, sticking out. I had to be so careful that I didn't rub against one of those broken pieces, because I could have sliced my hand or my arm, and this shoulder was hurting so bad I couldn't do anything with my right arm. But I'm sitting in that box, my bottom's on the floor, my legs are straight up in front of me, like this. I'm looking up at my legs. I didn't even know I could get in a position like that. I couldn't move. On my left side of the box, it had cracked, broken, a big shard sticking up. Gotta stay away from that. What am I going to do? I've got to get out of this box. But this shoulder is hurting. Can't do anything with this arm. What next? I start rocking this way. Well, I'm rocking the length of the box. That box is not going to flip over, especially with my big bottom on the bottom of the box. The box can't lift up unless I lift up. I couldn't lift up because I had 2 big legs sticking up in front of me. I never was athletic growing up. Never could turn cartwheels, anything like that. I just didn't have the physique for those things. And here I sit in a plastic box staring at my feet up in front of me. I needed help. Well, we had cell phone. Well, no, I had the landline phone, the cordless phone's what I had. But it was in the living room. And even if I could get to the phone, which naturally I wasn't going to get to the phone. Most people carry their phones in a pocket nowadays, you know. But with the landline, you kept it connected to the base. So I wasn't close enough to reach out and pick up the phone and call and say I need help. Even if I'd been able to do that, my front door was locked. They couldn't get in. In fact, I had 2 locks on my door. I had a padlock. The padlock, the one they couldn't get in because no one else has a key but me. Okay. What good would a telephone call do? None at all. I'm stuck. Absolutely stuck. I sat there, throbbing. Well, that was the least of my worries. I'm looking at the shard on one side, and I'm looking at my feet up in front of me. My feet weren't that pretty. Still had my shoes on, though. Ordinarily in the house, I don't have my shoes on, but I hadn't taken time to take them off after I got home. So I'm looking up those feet. You know, I could die sitting right here in this box, and nobody'd ever know. Nobody would be able to get in my apartment. Okay, you think, well, you could yell loud enough. Maybe you could bang on the walls. And if you banged hard enough and long enough, someone would get suspicious and they would be coming to find out what the problem was. But it still had the door locked. Now, still another problem. My apartment's soundproof. I can talk and jump and skip rope and do anything, play the television as loud as I want to, and nobody outside of my apartment is going to hear it. See, that was the advantage of having a soundproof apartment, is people like me, hard of hearing, turn their TVs up too loud for the neighbors, and they can't sleep, especially when people like me stay up late at night and watch old movies. That's not a good thing. But with a soundproof apartment, no problem. I'm sitting there waiting. The wheels are spinning, but they're not going anywhere. How in the world was I going to get out of that box? You visualize yourself sitting there 3 days later. Well, you know, somewhere along the line you got to use the bathroom too, but I didn't give that any thought. I'm stuck. I'll never get out of this box. How in the world could I let myself fall in a box? And here come the funeral home people coming into my apartment. There lays a woman in a broken plastic box. Now, if that wouldn't make the news headline, what would? I suppose I was there about 30 minutes, weaving back and forth, pushing back and forth, and the legs were still stuck up in the air. There's no place for the legs to go. Finally, I disregarded this shard on my left side, and I gave my whole body a push. I went this way, and the box came with me. I was now on my side. I was able to crawl out of that broken box. Well, I know that isn't much of a story, but for a while I thought, no, I can't tell this story. They're going to laugh, and they're going to laugh. They're going to picture me with my feet up in the air, my bottom in the box, and say, how in the world does a woman get in a position like this? It was easy. Just stump your foot on the box and you fall forward and you're sitting in the box. That's how it's done. So my advice to you is, you're buying any of those plastic boxes, be careful where you put it, especially if it's empty, because You may be the one in the box instead of all of your collectibles. So that's my story for today. I hope you liked it. Maybe it'll give you a good laugh. And if next time you go into Walmart and Dollar Tree and Big Lots looking for plastic boxes, get the ones that are smaller that you can't fit in. Buy 2 small boxes instead of 1 big one. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the wonderful responses to my mother's birthday. There will be a continuation, but I don't want to do it right now. I want a little time in between. I've got to do some thinking about what I can tell. There's a lot to tell, and I have to limit my time. So I'll let you know when I'm ready for the second half of Mama's birthday story. Thank you, and stay in out of the rain.